Okay, let's just create a relationship between two tables, student and professor tables. And I just realized that I forgot to set the primary, the key, the professor ID as a primary key field. So if you go to state student, right? So go to student design, like a design view, you know that there's a primary key field, right? But if you go to professor design view, I forgot to designate professor ID field as a primary key field. So click the professor ID and then right click on the primary key, select the primary key, right? Good. Now, let's just create a relationship between these two tables. Click the database tools and then you will see the relationship, right? So just click relationship and then this like this window pops up and you create professor and then add, right? And then click student and click add, right? So we have two tables. Strange, the professor ID didn't really show in as the didn't really show that key, right? Primary key. So what I'm going to close it. Go back to the professor. Okay. Probably I should have let's see, professor, and then I have to probably save it, right? I think I didn't save it last time. So I'm going to save it and then go back to the relationship. I'm going to restart, so I'm going to close the relationship, then I'm not going to save it, right? I'm going to pretty much starting from the beginning, right? And then go to database table, the relationship, right? And add professor. Yeah, now it shows, right? So you have to save it. Once you put the primary key, right? Once you put the key, you have to save it, right? And then student, right? Okay, now you have these two tables, and then I'm going to create the relation. So we know that professor ID is a foreign key in the student, and then professor ID, the primary key in the professor table. So these two tables are related through the common field, which is professor ID, right? So I'm going to drag starting from the professor ID to the professor ID in the professor table, right? And then I'm going to enforce referential integrity. And then I'm going to say click create. Oops, database engine could not lock the table student because it is already in the use of another person or process. Okay, fine. So what I'm going to do is go to the student table and then I'm going to close it. And then go to professor ID and I'm going to close it. So I'm going to close two tables. Now I only have relationships, right? I'm going to, since I closed these two tables, student and professor tables. So I'm going to drag from professor ID to the professor ID. And then enforce referential integrity, create, yes. So as you can see, it's what? It's 1, 2. So as you can see, it's now is one means one-to-many relationship, right? So that means one professor can advise, this is many, right? Many students. Many means like one or more students, right? So which is true. For example, in the previous example, Professor P100 now what advises two students, right? S100L and S300 Kate. So that's why it's one to many, right? Relationship is one to many. Okay. So I'm done. So let me just close the, I'm going to start recording my lecture.